The laptop screen glowed like a confession booth in the dark kitchen. 3:47 a.m., and I was staring at my wife's Dropbox folder, labeled Personal Projects. Claire always was organized about her secrets. The video file was named Saturday Fun, Canda, Creative. I clicked play. Well, that's one way to learn about cloud sharing. My wife Claire was on screen, naked and enthusiastic, with my best friend Alex Grant. Not just any Saturday either. I recognized our guest bedroom, the same room where Alex had crashed after poker nights, complaining about his marriage to Jessica. The same room where he'd eaten my food, drunk my beer, and apparently screwed my wife. The timestamp showed last weekend. While I was at the office working on the Henderson case, Claire was working on something else entirely. I closed the laptop with surgical precision. No slamming, no dramatic gestures. Just the quiet click of betrayal settling into my bones like arthritis. Ryan Mitchell, attorney at law, cuckold extraordinaire. 38 years old, and I just discovered my life was a bad joke with a punchline I'd missed for God knows how long. The coffee maker gurgled to life. I'd set it on a timer, like the responsible husband I had been, whatever. I poured myself a cup and sat back down. Opened the laptop again. The folder contained 17 videos spanning 6 months. 6 months of Saturday fun and afternoon delight and quick Tuesday. My wife had cataloged her affair like a filing system. Color-coded spreadsheets had nothing on Claire's organizational skills when it came to adultery. I scrolled through her messages with Alex. The usual garbage. Can't wait to see you. Ryan's working late again. Jessica suspects nothing. But buried deeper were the financial details. Claire had been using our joint credit card for an Airbnb rental downtown. A love nest, fully furnished and paid for with my money. The kitchen door creaked. Claire padded in wearing my old law school t-shirt, her blonde hair messy from sleep. "You're up early," she said, kissing my cheek like she had every morning for 15 years. Her lips felt like ice. Couldn't sleep. Big case coming up. She poured coffee, added cream, stirred counterclockwise exactly 7 times. Same routine, every morning. Amazing how people could maintain habits while their entire lives crumbled around them. "I was thinking," Claire said, settling across from me, "we should have Alex and Jessica over for dinner soon. It's been too long." I looked at her over my coffee cup. Really looked. Still beautiful at 34. Still the woman I'd married. Still capable of lying to my face without a tremor in her voice. "Great idea," I said. "How about this Saturday? I'll cook." "You never cook. Special occasion." She smiled, and for a moment I almost forgot about the 17 videos and the Airbnb receipts and the way she'd moaned Alex's name in our guest bedroom. "Almost. I'll call Jessica today," Claire said, "and maybe we should invite my parents too. Make it a real family dinner." Perfect. The more witnesses, the better. I spent the day at the law firm pretending to care about depositions and client meetings while my real attention focused on planning. By 5 p.m., I had everything arranged. Dinner for 8 on Saturday. Claire's parents, my daughter Megan, Alex, and Jessica, plus Claire and myself. A cozy family gathering. I stopped by Best Buy on the way home and purchased a wireless presentation remote and an HDMI adapter. Technology was wonderful when you knew how to use it. That evening, Claire mentioned she'd spoken to everyone. "They're all excited," she said, stirring pasta sauce. Jessica sounded a little stressed, but you know how she gets. I knew exactly how Jessica got. According to the messages I'd found, Alex had been treating his wife like garbage for years. Staying out late, mysterious phone calls, sudden business trips that coincided with Claire's girls' weekends. "Did you know Alex has been having problems at work?" I asked casually. Claire's hand paused on the spoon. "Problems? Financial issues with the startup. Might have to let people go." He didn't mention anything to me. Of course he hadn't. Hard to discuss business when you're busy discussing other things. Friday night, I stayed late at the office and made copies of everything. Bank statements, credit card bills, hotel receipts, the works. I also made a backup of Claire's video collection, just in case she got wise and deleted the originals. Saturday morning arrived gray and cold. Perfect weather for what I had planned. Claire spent the day cleaning and cooking, humming while she worked. She'd always been happiest when entertaining. "You seem relaxed," she said as I set up the dining room. "Just looking forward to seeing everyone." I connected my laptop to the big screen TV in the living room. positioned where everyone at the dinner table would have a clear view. The wireless remote fit perfectly in my jacket pocket. At 6 p.m., the doorbell rang. Claire's parents arrived first, Harold and Margaret, both retired teachers with strong opinions about everything. They'd never quite approved of me, thought Claire could have done better than a small-town lawyer. Megan came downstairs in her usual uniform of black clothes and teenage attitude, 15 years old, and already smarter than most adults, though she pretended otherwise. Alex and Jessica arrived together, which surprised me. According to Claire's messages, they'd been fighting constantly, but there they were, holding hands and smiling like a magazine ad for suburban happiness. Alex looked exactly like he had in the videos, tall, confident, wearing an expensive suit that probably cost more than my car payment. He'd been my roommate in college, my best man at my wedding, godfather to my daughter. The kind of friend you'd trust with your life, or your wife, apparently. Ryan! He grabbed me in a bear hug, slapping my back. Great to see you, buddy. Thanks for having us over. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Jessica looked tired but beautiful, her dark hair pulled back, wearing a simple blue dress. She'd lost weight since I'd seen her last, and there were shadows under her eyes. How's the startup going? I asked Alex as we gathered in the living room. Fantastic. We just closed another round of funding. He grinned, the same smile that had charmed professors and girlfriends, and apparently my wife. Should be able to expand the team soon. Interesting. Either he was lying about the funding or lying to Claire about his financial problems. Maybe both. Dinner conversation flowed like wine. Work gossip, neighborhood news, Megan's upcoming talent show at school. Claire had outdone herself with the meal, as if good food could somehow absolve her of bad behavior. This is delicious, dear, Margaret said, patting Claire's hand. You always were such a good cook. And such a good wife, Harold added, shooting me a look that suggested I didn't deserve her. If only he knew. I waited until dessert was served, until everyone was comfortable and relaxed. Then I stood up, raising my wine glass. I'd like to propose a toast, I said. To family, to friendship, and to the truth. Everyone raised their glasses, smiling. I pulled out the remote. Actually, before we toast, I have something to show everyone. A little home movie. The TV screen flickered to life. Claire's face went white as the video began. The silence stretched like a taut wire ready to snap. On the 65-inch screen, my wife and my best friend were engaged in activities that definitely weren't suitable for family viewing. Margaret dropped her wine glass. The crystal shattered against the hardwood floor, red wine spreading like blood. What the hell is this? Harold's voice cracked like a whip. Claire lunged for the remote, but I'd already pocketed it. The video continued, crystal clear and high definition. Alex's face was perfectly visible. No room for denial or creative explanations. Turn it off, Claire screamed. Ryan, turn it off right now. Jessica sat frozen, staring at the screen like she was watching a car accident. Her face had gone completely blank, which somehow seemed worse than tears or screaming. Megan looked from the TV to her mother to me. Holy shit, she whispered. Language, Margaret said automatically, then seemed to realize how absurd that sounded under the circumstances. Alex finally found his voice. Jesus Christ, Ryan, what are you doing? Having a family dinner. Isn't this what you wanted, Alex? To be part of the family? I clicked the remote. The video paused on a particularly compromising frame. This is insane, Claire said, her voice shaking. You can't just... Can't just what? Show people what my wife does in her spare time? What my best friend does in my house, in my bed, with my money paying for the Airbnb where you two have been meeting? Harold stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. Claire Elizabeth, what is the meaning of this? Daddy, I can explain. Explain what? That you're a cheating whore? Harold, Margaret gasped, but she was staring at her daughter like she'd never seen her before. Jessica finally spoke, her voice eerily calm. How long? Alex reached for her hand. Jess, baby, let me. She jerked away from him. How long, Alex? 6 months, I answered for him. Give or take. Though based on some of the messages I found, I suspect it's been going on longer than that. Messages? Claire's voice was barely a whisper. I pulled out my phone and started reading. Tuesday, March 15th. Can't wait to feel you inside me again. Wednesday, April 3rd. Ryan's working late. Come over. Friday, May 20th. I told Jessica you were at a client dinner. She bought it completely. Jessica made a sound like she'd been punched in the stomach. That's enough, Alex said, standing up. This is cruel, Ryan. I know you're hurt, but cruel. I laughed, and the sound surprised even me. You want to talk about cruel, Alex? Let's talk about the time you comforted me when I thought Claire was acting distant. Remember that? You sat right there on my couch, drinking my beer, telling me I was paranoid. Claire loves you, man. You're imagining things. I never meant for this to happen. Which part? The affair or getting caught? Megan suddenly stood up. I knew. Everyone turned to stare at her. I knew about Mom and Uncle Alex. I saw the messages on her phone weeks ago. Claire looked like she'd been slapped. Megan, you left your phone on the kitchen counter. The notifications kept going off. I thought it might be important, so I looked. Megan's voice was steady, matter of fact. I saw the pictures too. Really gross, by the way. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. Megan shrugged. I figured you'd find out eventually. Adults always do, once they stop being stupid. Margaret started crying. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just quiet tears streaming down her cheeks. How could you do this to your family, Claire? To your daughter? I was lonely, Claire exploded. Ryan works all the time. He never talks to me, never touches me. I felt like I was invisible in my own marriage. So you decided to become visible in someone else's. It wasn't supposed to happen. Alex and I were just talking, and one thing led to another. 17 times, I said. One thing led to another 17 times. That's a lot of accidental sex. Jessica stood up slowly, like an old woman. I'm leaving. Jess, wait. Alex grabbed her arm. Let me drive you home. We need to talk. She looked at his hand on her arm, then at his face. Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again. She walked out without another word. The front door closed behind her with a quiet click that somehow sounded louder than slamming. Alex looked around the room, at the frozen video on the TV, at Claire crying into her hands, at Harold's disgusted face, at Margaret's tears, at Megan's cold teenage stare. This isn't over, Ryan, he said. You're right. It's just getting started. After he left, the real screaming began. Harold called Claire names that made Margaret gasp. Claire blamed me for everything. My work schedule, my emotional distance, my failure as a husband. Megan went upstairs and slammed her door. I sat quietly through it all, occasionally sipping my wine. Finally, Harold and Margaret left. Harold promising to have words with Claire later, Margaret still crying. Claire disappeared into our bedroom and locked the door. I cleaned up the dinner dishes, put away the leftovers, swept up the broken wine glass. Normal domestic tasks in the aftermath of domestic destruction. My phone buzzed with a text from Alex. We need to talk. I deleted it without responding. Instead, I drove to Big Mike's boxing gym, a 24-hour place downtown where I'd been working out since college. Mike Kowalski was 65, built like a refrigerator, and had been teaching people to hit things for 40 years. You look like hell, he said when I walked in. Feel worse. Wife or work? Both. He handed me gloves and pointed to the heavy bag. Hit something. We'll talk after. I spent an hour pounding leather, working out 15 years of frustration and betrayal and rage. When I finally stopped, my hands were shaking and my shirt was soaked with sweat. Better? Mike asked. Getting there. Want to tell me about it? So I did. Mike listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding or grunting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. What are you going to do? I'm going to destroy them. Both of them? All of them. Claire, Alex, anyone who helped them, or covered for them, or knew what was happening and didn't tell me. Mike studied my face. That's a dangerous road, son. Dangerous for who? For you. Revenge has a way of eating people alive. I'm already being eaten alive. At least this way, I get to choose the menu. I drove home around midnight. Claire was still locked in the bedroom. I could hear her on the phone, probably talking to her sister or her mother or maybe even Alex. I set up camp in the guest room, the same room where they'd made their videos. Seemed appropriate somehow. My phone had 7 missed calls from Alex and 3 from Jessica. I ignored them all. Instead, I opened my laptop and started planning phase 2. Sunday morning arrived, with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Claire emerged from the bedroom, looking like she'd been hit by a truck. Her eyes red and swollen, her hair a disaster. We need to talk, she said. I was sitting at the kitchen table with coffee and the Sunday paper, acting like nothing had happened. Good morning to you, too. Ryan, please. We have to discuss this like adults. Adults don't usually film themselves screwing their spouse's best friend, but I'm willing to listen. She sat down across from me, wrapping her robe tighter around herself. I know you're angry. Angry? I folded the newspaper carefully. Claire, I'm not angry. Angry is what you feel when someone cuts you off in traffic. This is something else entirely. What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? I am. I'm so sorry, Ryan. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake, and if I could take it back, but you can't. And more importantly, you wouldn't. You made a choice, Claire. 17 different times, you made the same choice. It wasn't about you. It was about me, about feeling wanted and desired, and save it for your therapist. She started crying again, the kind of manipulative tears she'd used since we were dating. They'd worked on me for years, but now they just looked pathetic. What happens now? She asked. Now I make some phone calls. I started with Claire's biggest client, Patricia Hendricks, a wealthy widow who'd hired Claire to redesign her mansion. Patricia was also the biggest gossip in town and had connections to everyone who mattered. Patricia, it's Ryan Mitchell. I'm afraid I have some bad news about Claire's availability for your project. By noon, I'd called 6 of Claire's clients. I didn't say anything directly about the affair. I didn't have to. I just mentioned that Claire was going through some personal issues and might not be able to give their projects the attention they deserved. 3 of them called Claire within the hour to cancel their contracts. You bastard, she said, bursting into my office. You're trying to destroy my business. Your business destroyed itself when you started using client meetings as cover for affair scheduling. I never. Tuesday, April 10th. You told the Williamson project was running late because of supplier issues. But according to your messages with Alex, you were actually at the Airbnb all afternoon. Her face went white. You've been reading all my messages? Every single one. Did you know Alex has been embezzling money from his startup? Interesting reading. He's been skimming funds to pay for your little love nest and those expensive gifts he's been buying you. That's not true. Want to bet? My phone rang. Jessica's name appeared on the screen. Hello, Jessica. Ryan, we need to talk. Can you meet me somewhere? Of course. Where? The Lucky Strike. Do you know it? I knew it. A dive bar downtown, dark and quiet. The kind of place where people went to disappear. I'll be there in an hour. Claire was staring at me. You're not going to meet with her. Why not? She's the other victim in this situation. She'll try to turn you against Alex even more than you already are. Claire, I'm already planning to turn Alex's life inside out. Jessica can't make it any worse. The Lucky Strike smelled like cigarettes and broken dreams. Jessica was sitting in a corner booth, nursing a whiskey and looking like she hadn't slept in days. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat down. Thank you for calling. The bartender brought me a beer without being asked. That kind of place. I need to know everything, Jessica said. All of it. How long you've known, what you found, what you're planning to do. So I told her about the videos, the messages, the financial records, the client calls, everything. She listened without interrupting, occasionally sipping her whiskey. The embezzlement doesn't surprise me, she said when I finished. Alex has been spending money we don't have for months. New clothes, expensive dinners, that Tesla. I thought it was a midlife crisis. It was. Just not the kind you expected. I want to help you destroy him. The words hung in the air like smoke. Jessica, I'm serious. Alex has been lying to me for years, probably cheating with other women before Claire. He's stolen money, humiliated me in front of our friends, made me feel crazy for suspecting something was wrong. I want him to pay for all of it. What did you have in mind? She reached into her purse and pulled out a folder. Financial records, bank statements, credit card bills, business documents, everything you need to prove he's been stealing from the company. I opened the folder. Page after page of evidence, meticulously organized. You've been planning this, I said. I've been preparing for it. I knew this day would come eventually. I just didn't know when or how. What about Claire? What about her? Do you want her destroyed too? Jessica considered this, swirling the whiskey in her glass. Claire's a symptom, not the disease. Alex is the one who made vows to me, who promised to love and honor me. Claire owes me nothing. That's very mature of you. No, it's strategic. If I focus on Claire, Alex gets away with everything. If I focus on Alex, Claire gets destroyed as collateral damage. I liked Jessica more every minute. So what's the plan? I asked. Alex is presenting to potential investors on Wednesday. Big meeting, lots of important people. What if they received some interesting financial documents beforehand? That would be unfortunate for Alex. Very unfortunate. We spent the next hour planning Alex's professional destruction. Jessica knew his business inside and out, knew which investors to target, which documents would be most damaging, which timing would cause maximum chaos. There's something else, she said as we prepared to leave. Alex has been recording phone calls with potential investors. Illegal in this state without consent. I have copies. Jessica, you're scary. I'm thorough. There's a difference. I drove home feeling better than I had in days. Claire was waiting in the living room, still in her robe, surrounded by tissues. How was your meeting with Jessica? She asked. Productive. Ryan, please. Can't we try to work this out? Go to counseling, take a trip, start over? Start over? I sat down across from her. Claire, you've been lying to me for months. You've stolen money, betrayed our marriage, humiliated me in front of our friends and family. What exactly would we be starting over with? Our love, our history, our daughter. Our daughter already knows what kind of person you are. She's been covering for you for weeks. Megan is just a child. She doesn't understand. She understands perfectly. That's the problem. My phone buzzed with a text from Alex. Stop ignoring me. We need to fix this. I showed the message to Claire. Your boyfriend wants to chat. He's not my boyfriend. What is he then? Your fuck buddy, your side piece. Help me understand the terminology here. She flinched like I'd slapped her. I'm going to bed, she said. In the guest room. I assume you'll want the master bedroom back. Actually, I like the guest room. It has such interesting memories now. She started crying again as she headed upstairs. I poured myself a drink and opened Jessica's folder. Tomorrow was going to be a very busy day. Monday morning brought rain and the first phase of Alex's destruction. I arrived at my law office early and spent an hour crafting anonymous emails to his investors, complete with financial documents that Jessica had provided. The evidence was damning. Alex had been systematically stealing from the company for 8 months, using the money to fund his affair with Claire. Hotel rooms, expensive dinners, jewelry, even the monthly rent on the Airbnb Love Nest, all paid for with embezzled funds. By 10 a.m., I'd sent everything to 12 different investors and 3 local business journalists. Alex's phone would start ringing soon. My secretary buzzed me around 11. There's a Claire Mitchell here to see you. She says she's your wife. Send her in. Claire entered wearing her best dress and a desperate smile. I brought lunch, she said, holding up a bag from my favorite deli. How thoughtful. She sat down and started unpacking sandwiches like this was a normal social visit. I've been thinking about what you said yesterday, about starting over. And? You're right. I can't undo what I did, but I can make it right going forward. How? I ended it with Alex. Completely. No contact, no messages, nothing. When? Last night. I called him and told him it was over. Interesting. My phone had been buzzing with increasingly frantic messages from Alex all morning. Now I knew why. That's a start, I said. I also want to pay you back. For the Airbnb, for everything. I'll liquidate my business accounts, sell some jewelry, whatever it takes. The business accounts that are now empty because your clients fired you? Her smile faltered. Some of them, yes, but I can rebuild. I can start over, do better. Claire, do you understand what you've done? Not just to me, but to our daughter, to your parents, to Jessica. I hurt people, I know that. But people forgive, Ryan. Families heal. Some do, some don't. My phone rang. Alex's name on the screen. Excuse me, I told Claire, and answered. Ryan, what the hell did you do? Alex's voice was shaking with rage. I had lunch with my wife. What did you do? You know what I'm talking about. The emails, the documents. My investors are freaking out. That sounds like a business problem, Alex. You should probably call your lawyer. I am calling my lawyer. You're supposed to be my friend. Friends don't usually screw each other's wives. But I'm learning all sorts of new things about friendship lately. Claire was staring at me, her face pale. This isn't over, Alex said. You keep saying that. When exactly does it start getting interesting? He hung up. What emails? Claire asked. Alex has been embezzling money from his company. I thought his investors should know. You're destroying his life. He destroyed mine first. I'm just returning the favor. This has to stop, Ryan. You're going too far. Too far? I stood up, walked around the desk to where she was sitting. Claire, your boyfriend has been stealing money to pay for your affair. Money that belongs to other people, people who trusted him. And you think I'm going too far? I didn't know about the money. You didn't ask where it was coming from either. She started crying again, but this time it looked genuine. I never wanted any of this to happen, but it did happen, and now we all have to live with the consequences. That evening, I met Jessica at the Lucky Strike again. She looked better than she had on Sunday, more focused and determined. How did it go? She asked. Alex received some interesting phone calls today. 3 investors pulled out, and 2 business reporters want to interview him about his creative accounting practices. Perfect. What about Wednesday's presentation? Cancelled. Hard to pitch new investors when the old ones are threatening lawsuits. Jessica smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her in weeks. There's more. I talked to his business partner, David Chen, showed him some of the financial records. David's calling an emergency board meeting for Thursday. To fire Alex? To fire Alex and potentially press criminal charges. Jessica, you're terrifying. I prefer thorough. We spent an hour planning the next phase. Jessica had access to Alex's home office, his computer, his files. She could plant evidence, delete records, create chaos in ways I couldn't. What about Claire? She asked. What about her? Are you going to divorce her? Eventually. But first, I want her to understand exactly what she's lost. Meaning I want her to watch her entire life collapse, piece by piece, until she's left with nothing but the memory of what she threw away. That's cruel. Yes, it is. Jessica studied my face. You've changed, Ryan. Since Saturday night, you're different. How? Harder. Colder. More like Alex, actually. Huh, that stopped me. I'm nothing like Alex, aren't you? You're lying, manipulating, destroying people's lives. How is that different from what he did to us? Because they started it. And that makes it right? I didn't have an answer for that. Wednesday brought news that Alex's startup was under investigation by the state attorney general's office. Someone had provided them with detailed financial records and recorded phone calls. Thursday brought news that Alex had been fired and banned from the premises of his own company. Friday brought news that Jessica had filed for divorce and was seeking half of everything Alex owned, including his stake in the now worthless startup. Claire watched it all unfold with growing horror. You're ruining him completely, she said Friday evening. He ruined himself. I just made sure people found out about it. What about Jessica? She's involved in this too, isn't she? Jessica is protecting herself. Something you should have thought about before you decided to blow up both our marriages. I want to see Alex. No, you can't stop me. Actually, I can. Jessica got a restraining order. Alex isn't allowed to contact you, and you're not allowed to contact him. Violation could mean jail time. A restraining order? On what grounds? Harassment. Stalking. Jessica was very creative in her filing. Claire stared at me like she'd never seen me before. Who are you? I'm your husband. The man you betrayed, lied to, and humiliated. The man whose money you stole to fund your affair. The man whose best friend you seduced in his own house. I know what I did. No, Claire. You know what you got caught doing. There's a difference. That night, I lay awake in the guest room thinking about Jessica's words. Was I becoming like Alex? Was revenge turning me into the kind of person I'd always despised? Then I remembered the video, the messages, the lies, the humiliation. The way Claire had kissed my cheek every morning while planning to meet her lover every afternoon. Maybe Jessica was right. Maybe I was becoming someone else. But I wasn't done yet. Saturday morning arrived with sunshine and the promise of total destruction. Today was Megan's talent show at the high school, and half the town would be there, including several people who needed to hear some interesting stories about Claire and Alex. I spent the morning preparing my presentation, not for the talent show, for the informal social gathering afterward, where parents mingled and gossiped and shared news about their families. Claire was getting dressed when I knocked on the bedroom door. Come in, she called. She was standing in front of the mirror, trying on different outfits. What do you think? She asked, holding up a blue dress. Too formal for a school event? Perfect for public humiliation. She turned to stare at me. What's that supposed to mean? It means today is going to be interesting. Ryan, please tell me you're not planning something at Megan's talent show. I'm not planning anything at the talent show. I'm planning something after the talent show. What? You'll see. The high school auditorium was packed. Megan was performing a piano piece she'd been practicing for months, and despite everything that had happened, I was proud of her. She played beautifully, with confidence and skill that reminded me why I'd fallen in love with music in the first place. Claire sat beside me, tense and nervous, checking her phone every few minutes. Expecting a call? I asked. Just worried about Megan. Megan's fine. It's everyone else you should worry about. After the performances, parents gathered in the gymnasium for refreshments and socializing. I spotted my targets immediately. Patricia Hendricks, the wealthy widow and town gossip, Robert Williams, who owned the local newspaper, Susan Chen, who ran the neighborhood social media groups, and Dr. Martinez, who knew everyone's business because half the town were his patients. I started with Patricia. Such a lovely evening, I said, approaching her at the refreshment table. Oh, Ryan, how nice to see you. I was so sorry to hear about Claire's business troubles. Thank you. It's been a difficult time. I imagine so. These things have a way of spiraling, don't they? They certainly do, especially when there are underlying issues. Patricia's eyes lit up. She smelled gossip like a shark smells blood. Underlying issues? Well, I probably shouldn't say anything. It's a family matter. Of course, but sometimes it helps to talk. I glanced around, as if checking for eavesdroppers. The truth is, Claire has been having some personal problems. An affair, actually, with our close friend Alex Grant. Patricia's eyes went wide. No, I'm afraid so. It's been going on for months. I only found out recently, when I discovered some rather explicit videos on her computer. Videos, very explicit. Claire apparently likes to document her activities. Patricia was practically vibrating with excitement. This was the kind of scandal that would fuel conversations for months. How awful for you, she said, not sounding awful at all. The worst part is how it's affected our daughter. Megan knew about the affair before I did. Can you imagine? A 15-year-old girl having to keep her mother's secrets? That poor child. I moved on to Robert Williams next, sharing similar details with slight variations. Then Susan Chen, adding information about the embezzlement and the business collapse. Then Dr. Martinez, focusing on the psychological impact on the family.
Bravo.